Hi everyone. So for tonight's video, I thought I'd do something a little different. I'm gonna have a go at doing the stained glass technique, but I'm not going to be using vellum. I'm going to be using shrink plastic, and this is a piece of shrink plastic. I don't know if you're familiar with shrink plastic. It comes in A4 size, Shrink Me, and it's a matte transparent. The only thing we won't be able to do with this is heat set the ink. So I've already made one. I've already stamped one for us to use. And the reason I thought I'd try and do it with shrink plastic is because when you stamp on the matte side on the back and colour it in, and then when you turn it over, you've got this really nice shiny glossy side, and I thought it might look more like stained glass than using vellum, but we'll see how we go. So I've got my little piece of shrink plastic. I'm going to be using a StazOn ink for this because I want to colour in the back with alcohol markers. I have a couple of alcohol markers. I've chosen the Old Red and an emerald green. I'm going to choose a stamp sentiment from the Bold-tastic Sentiments from Sentimentally Yours, and at the end I am going to choose one of these sentiments and we are going to shrink it down and see what that comes out like. If it doesn't work, then we will just stamp the sentiment. I've got a tiny piece of red cardstock, and this measures 4 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches. My card blank is a 7 by 5, so I cut this at 10 inches by 7 inches in depth, and I just scored that down the middle. I have got a small piece of double-sided sticky sheet, and the stamp set that I'm going to be using is Crafter's Companion, and I think this one came in a magazine. I'm using this big floral down here. So if I take in my stamping platform, I'm going to place my piece of shrink plastic with the shiny side down, so the matte side is facing up. And I'm going to place this right down in the corner, taking in my stamp. So I want to place this pretty central, even amount of border at the top, bottom and both sides. And we're just going to pick that one up, and as I say, I'm going to ink this one up in the StazOn ink. So as always, making sure you get a nice amount of ink on your stamp. Bring that across, and we're going to give that a really nice press down. Now the same with the shrink plastic as with vellum, the ink takes a lot longer to dry. But with the shrink plastic, obviously, if we apply heat to this, then it's going to shrink down. So we need to pop that to one side for about, I would say, a good 20 minutes for that to dry. But as luck would have it, I've done one earlier. Exactly the same image, and this is now completely dry. So that's the one we're going to be working on. I'm just going to give my stamp clean off. And we can pop that straight back where it belongs. And that's all we need with the stamping platform. So if I take in the image that is dry, you've got your shiny side and your matte side. So shiny side down, I'm going to take in a piece of kitchen roll so that you can see what I'm doing. Shiny side down so that we're working on the matte side. And any colour, alcohol inks, you can choose whatever colour you want. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go round in circles and I'm going to colour in my floral from the back. And there's no technique to this, it's just, as always, getting your colour down, turning your work, and it's really quite quick. There's the first floral done already. And the second floral, we're going to do exactly the same again. Now, I've been wanting to do the stained glass technique with you for a while, but I find, for me personally, doing it on vellum doesn't actually give me the look that I was hoping for. So I thought I'd give it a go on the shrink plastic and see if I'm happier with that look. Now, the reason we're using Stays On is because I'm using alcohol markers. If I'd used the VersaFine Onyx Black, then the alcohol markers would have smudged the ink even when it's dry. And this way, at least when I turn this over and show you, we'll still be able to see all the beautiful lines in the stamped image. So just going right up to the edges, and there we go. So that's the florals coloured in. Now if I turn this over and show you the back of this, how beautiful does that look? And to me that looks more like stained glass than doing it on vellum. Now with our leaves, I'm going to go in with the green, and I'm going to do exactly the same with the green. I'm going to go over the leaves very quickly. As I say, no real technique to this. Trying not to go outside of the line, because obviously that will show. And there we go, that's our leaves coloured in. So this is the back of the image. With the centres of these florals, I thought I would do in an orange. So again, just colouring in the middles. And that's all we need to do with the colouring. So if I bring this up and show you, how stunning does that look? I think that looks much more like stained glass than doing it on the vellum. I'm just going to pop that to one side. I'm going to bring in my card base, and as I say, this is a 5x7 card base, and my first matte layer is going to sit on top of my card with glue. So as always, get a nice amount of glue all around the edges and in the middle, and we're just going to line that up, same top, bottom, and on the side. I'm going to turn that over and give that a nice press down from the back. So that's the base of our card done. Now I'm going to take in my piece of double-sided sticky sheet. These come in A4 size, and just need to cut these down to whatever size that you want. So I'm going to take this back and fold this back halfway, or a little under halfway, remembering which way up I wanted my image. I'm going to line this up at the bottom, remove the back in and just let that fall. Turn that over and give that a really, really nice press down. So there's our stained glass effect. And now when I add this to my base, making sure we got the same amount of border, top, bottom, and around the edges. Once this is stuck, it's stuck, and we can give that a nice press down. So can you see what has happened now? We've got this beautiful ruby red background with our stained glass coloured effect on the top, and it looks like vellum, but it's got this beautiful shine to it. I'm just going to give that a rub and try and remove some of those little bubbles, and there we go. Just a couple of air bubbles there. For my sentiment, I've got a tiny piece of shrink plastic, just trying to see which was the better piece. And on the matte side, I'm going to pop the shiny side down, and on the matte side, go with the word celebrate. So placing my shrink plastic, shiny side down, line that up on my mat. I'm going to pick that one up, and we are again going to ink this up with the stays on. Nice amount of ink on there, and I'm going to stamp down the word celebrate. And there we go. Just going to quickly give that one a wipe off. Stays on does stain your stamps, but if you're quick enough, you can get quite a bit of it off. Pop that one to one side. Now I'm going to heat set this. So this is going to shrink to maybe a third of its size already. And I think it would be nice for you to watch me do this. The biggest tip I can give you for shrinking shrink plastic is when you've shrunk it down to the size that you want it, is to place something heavy on it so that it actually cools down and flattens itself out at the same time. So I'm going to get myself a couple of, they're not very heavy, but a couple of blocks which I can pop straight on once it has shrunk down, and then I can cool it down. So I've taken my heat gun and I'm going to pop this on number 2. I'm going to move this out of the way because I don't want any heat to get to that. I'm going to put this on number 2, and I'm going to let that get really hot. And when that gets to a really nice hot heat, I'm going to turn this down to number 1. And that is simply because I don't want it to shrink too quick. I've got my poker tool, which I'm just going to pop on the end so that it doesn't blow away. And I'm going to shrink this down. and all of a sudden this will start to go. And once it goes, you just need to let it do its thing, and it will curl and do all sorts of things. Just keep it going, and then eventually just straighten that out. Keep my heat on it as long as I possibly can, and then put something heavy on it. Press down. Now this is not going to be perfect. I think most things that you shrink down with shrink plastic tend to have a will of their own. But how lovely is that sentiment? This is hard, you can't bend it. And on top of our card, if we popped this at the bottom, it's almost like we've followed the whole card through. And I'm going to put this on with double-sided tape. So on the back, just run some double-sided tape along. I'm going to remove that back in, and I'm also going to pop a little bit of glue across that tape, and then this is going to sit right at the bottom like so. So not only have we got the stained glass going on in the actual picture, we've got the look of glass for the sentiment as well. And all I'm going to do to this now is add a few random pearls. So I think we'll use the 5mm. And I think we'll have one in this space, one in this space. We'll have one down here. So there's 3. We could have one up there, and maybe one down here. So there's 5. If I turn these over, there's no make on this one, but this has got a sticky end for picking up your gems. So if we pop one there, one over here, turn those over, we've got another one going on there, another one there, and then the last one just up there. Just pop those back where I got them from. And how easy was that? Really unusual, really different. I hope you have a go. I really like the effect that this is giving me. Yeah, I hope you've learned something. I hope you have a go at this. But there's my version of the stained glass technique. Anyway, thank you for watching. And until the next time, bye for now.